Tonight, Ghana's most wanted and embattled former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, finally secures bail from U.S. ICE detention after at least 90 days behind bars for overstaying his visa. We have the latest, plus what this means for attempt by Ghana to have him extradited. This is Top Story brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energy, is also by Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy Holy Sleep, and by Short Pension Trust. Into the future with you. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Tonight, after 90 days behind bars, Ghana's most wanted and embattled former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta will finally get the privilege of sleeping in his own bed for the first time in 3 months. Joy News understands Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers have finally managed to convince a U.S. immigration judge to grant him bail after failing on at least one occasion in the last 3 months. Joy News is learning Mr. Ofori-Atta is expected to reappear on the 27th of April. Mr. Ofori-Atta was detained by officials of Immigration, Customs and Enforcement Agency in January for overstaying his visa. Back in Ghana, the office of the special prosecutor had accused him of corruption and corruption-related offences in relation to the SML deal in revenue assurance contract with the Ghana Revenue Authority. Now, the Attorney General later put in an extradition request after Mr. Ofori-Atta failed to honour the OSP's invitation for questioning. We'll speak to Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyer shortly, but first, my colleague Caleb Zeblin joins me in studio to chronicle the events that have unfolded over the past few months. Caleb, now first, Mr. Ofori-Atta has been on the wanted list of the OSP for some time now.
Yes, he has been on the wanted list for the OSP since last year, and then the OSP has been investigating the former finance minister for some allegations relating to the SML deal. And then at one point he was declared wanted and his name was circulated through an Interpol red notice. But then we know that that notice has been taken down because his lawyers filed for an appeal with Interpol, and then after Interpol's internal review, they decided to take down that listing. So currently he's not wanted by Interpol, but his name was up there some time ago. But then the OSP has now formally charged Mr. Ofori-Atta and 7 others with a total of 78 counts in relation to the SML deal. And then the charges include some procurement breaches, causing financial loss to the states, and then using public office for profits.
Now, we also know he was picked up by the IC just for, getting people up to speed on this. What were the reasons for him being picked up?
Okay, so on January 7, 2026, his lawyers released a letter indicating that he had been detained by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, over issues related to his visa. Now, his lawyer says that his visa was expired, but then later we heard from the Attorney General, Dominic Ayene, who clarified that his visa had actually been revoked, but then we still don't have clarity on whether it was expired or revoked. And then when we checked the ICE database today, that's April 8th, his name is no longer on the list, but then he has been on the list since January 7th. So if you do the calculation from January 7th, so yesterday, that's April 7th, that's roughly 90 days in ICE custody, or about 3 months in ICE custody. And so he has been there for 3 months now. He was picked up by ICE relating to his visa. His lawyer says that his visa had expired and he was applying for a new visa, while the Attorney General, Dominic Ayene, says that his visa was revoked by the U.S. authorities.
Okay. Now that we know he's been granted bail, lawyers for Mr. Ofori-Atta have been speaking. They've released a statement confirming his release. What does it say?
Yes, so the statement says that on April 7, 2026, Ken Ofori-Atta was released from ICE detention pursuant to a judicial order, and then he is currently home with his family. Mr. Ofori-Atta remains fully committed to the use due process and defense of his rights and guaranteed under the Constitution and laws of the United States. And then it goes on to thank God and then those who have been involved in the process.
Okay. They didn't talk about Ghana and
no, they didn't talk about that.
Okay. We'll go on the phone lines now and speak to lawyers, a lawyer of Mr. Kenneth Ofori-Atta, Frank Davis, to get more, into this particular matter. Mr. Frank Davis, we understand, has joined us via the phone. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Now, what more can you tell us about the circumstances of his bail?
Good evening to your cherished listeners and esteemed viewers. Yes, Ken has been released from ICE custody and detention by signed judicial order of court, and he's rejoined with his family and is home presently, taking it easy.
Can you educate us on the bail terms?
He has been released from ICE detention. With great respect, that should serve enough notification that he is out. I am not, with great respect, about to talk about the terms of bail. I don't think I have to break my client-lawyer relationship and put this out in the domain. He has been released and he's home. He has rejoined with his family and he's home. The most important thing is that he's been released from ICE custody. Yes, we posted a bond application. The court has looked at it and he's now been released from custody.
Mm-hmm. Now, we know when he appeared before the judge earlier, the judge requested the U.S. authorities to produce Ghana's extradition request by February 19th. Was that done? Do you have any idea about that?
Well, when the federal lawyers who came from the Department of Justice put up that caveat, on the first day he appeared before the ICE hearing, we all saw the proceedings of that event, and they were requested to put in the request as they themselves had said to the court that the government of Ghana had put in an extradition request. On the 19th of February, in fact, they waited until the 18th of February before they put in a one-liner, just a one-liner statement that yes, an extradition request has been put in. But as to the details of the proceedings, they failed to furnish the court with the details. That was what prompted the court to have the matter adjourned to a later date in March. But that March date was overcome by events. We were supposed to have gotten back to court on the 27th of April. But as the law will have it, Ken is out today because the judicial processes and the laws in America work. So short of the 27th April hearing, he has been released and the bond has been posted. So as to whether this question of the extradition request and all that, I think the onus now lies on the Attorney General or the Office of the Special Prosecutor, whoever is following that process, to let us know what has happened. So far as we are concerned, he has been released from ICE custody. And the extradition request that was filed was just a one-liner. I cannot preempt what has happened.
As his lawyer, do you consider these developments, his name being taken off Interpol and now being given bail, as probably a sign of his case strengthening against this extradition request?
Well, you see, we have always maintained from the outset that, you see, it is best to follow due process and go by the strict details of the rule of law, rather than saying all kinds of things on radio and muddying the waters with all manner of information and all that. As lawyers, I think as lawyers, our work is best placed when we are in court and we are dealing with judicial proceedings and matters. I think this new style of lawyers mounting the microphones and speaking into cameras, press conferences, and all that, that is not the tenets of our training. We have always maintained that Kenneth Ofori-Atta, through his lawyers, is following due process, and it has manifested in what has happened today. So, I mean, whether it strengthens our case or not is another matter. But your guess should be as good as mine. We are following due process, and due process would work for Ken.
After all that he's been through, is he now considering probably a return home to clear his name?
Oh, if you say he's considering a return home to clear his name as to what?
Oh,
As I talk to you now, Kenneth, Nanaya Kuntu Kunugo Ofori-Atta has not been formally notified of any charges at all against him. He has not been notified at all of any charges preferred against him. So if you say is he prepared to come and clear his name, I think it's a bit far-fetched.
we've heard the OSP, preferred charges against him, and
The
others.
OSP has preferred charges, but has he been notified? Two different things. The man is not in the jurisdiction. We all know he's outside the country. So if you have preferred charges against him, won't you notify him?
You would have to.
Yeah, he's not been notified. So don't let us jump over ourselves that he's now considering to come and answer to what? It is all cacophony of noises. Yeah, all manner of things have been said and all that. He has not even been notified. How many mouths of months now? He's not been notified. So if he is notified, we will take the necessary steps as lawyers.
Do stay with me. Let me bring in Amanda Akoko Clinton. She's a private legal practitioner. Amanda, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. What's your own reading of what's happening now? First, his name was taking off the Interpol red notice. Today, he's been granted bail from IC detention. What's really happening?
Well, good evening, and thank you for having me on the evening news. I concur with what his lawyer just said in terms of, due process always brings out the facts even more. But I think ultimately there's two things going on. There is an immigration route in terms of the process we're seeing right now. And there is a second route, which is, the legal extradition route. So the immigration case is one thing, and the criminal extradition case is completely a different thing as well. Why he was put in ICE, I think his lawyer is probably in a better position to tell you. But he wasn't detained for criminal conviction in the U.S. It was mainly just an immigration trigger. So
yes,
although he applied for a green card, allegedly, City News said that he was asked to leave the U.S. but did not comply, and his visa was revoked. Although that hasn't necessarily been confirmed, except if his lawyer confirms that. And
I just want
so ICE was basically doing an immigration violation and international legal detention. So although he's been released, it just means that he's no longer under ICE detention, and he's now out likely under conditions, meaning that his cases might still go on, and he's just going to fight this U.S. Proceedings, keep on applying for his green card, and possibly, fight the extradition as well, which is a separate arm. So although Ghana says it's because he's supposed to face charges, his legal team, on the other hand, said it's a political witch hunt. But at the forefront of everything should always be due process, because people's names shouldn't be soiled before a court decides what exactly is happening, and I think it's good to see that due process is playing out here.
But during this, his first appearance before the judge, there was the issue about the request by Ghana to extradite him, and earlier he was on the Interpol red alert list. He was taken out. ICE has given him bail. That's why I wanted to ask: what does this have any forbearance or any bearing on the extradition effort that Ghana is putting up?
It may do. The U.S. government is going to review everything, and I think in the last 12 months, Ghana has unprecedentedly sent back every single Ghanaian person that the U.S. has requested in terms of extradition, and they did so probably in hopes of getting Ken over here. But that's just speculative. But in terms of that Interpol, I think the issue that happened with the Interpol Red Notice alert was that he was put on the list, but there was a procedural error in terms of I don't think the charges had been brought, etc. And I think the Interpol alert should come from the Attorney General's Department, or in terms of the request, and not necessarily from OSP. So him getting taken off that was more of a procedural thing in terms of it wasn't properly done. So whether Ghana seeks to now do the proper thing in terms of the government, I don't know. But the Interpol red alert was a procedural error that was, taken off. And I think it is good that he is released from ICE because this is a slightly elderly gentleman. He poses no risk. His passport has probably been taken in terms of any passport he holds. They've probably got conditions on him in terms of he has to report every day or week, and maybe he has a tag on, etc. So I think it served absolutely no purpose in him being in detention. And what is separately going to go on is this extradition request, which may or may not be granted by the US. But I think Ghana would push hard if it's not granted, because Ghana has granted every single US request for extradition in the last 12 months, unless I stand corrected on that. And so Ghana has done this because they're pushing this oral policy of theirs. But again, in pushing the oral policy, it is not at the cost of everything. And I do think that NDC do have to remember they were in opposition less than 2 years ago. And so if what they are doing appears like a political witch hunt, which I'm not saying it is, should they go out of power in 7 years' time or in 3.5 years' time or whenever, the same thing is going to be done to them, but perhaps at a bigger scale. So, diplomacy does mean following the rule of law and just having due process, as the gentleman in front of me or just before me said. And I think the NDC government does have to strike a very fine balance between that, which they're not managing at the moment.
Okay, Amanda, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Amanda Clinton is private legal practitioner. Let me bring in Martin Pebu. He's also a private legal practitioner, someone who has been at the forefront of this whole discussion since it broke out. Martin, I'm grateful to you for joining us. We've all heard tonight that Mr. Ofori-Atta has been granted bail. From where you sit, what should Ghana do now?
Well, okay. So, Kojo Brace, where we should be starting from is that, look, if Frank Davis values his honor, he should be telling Ofori-Atta to calm down, okay, as soon as possible. I mean, they should just...
But hold on. Is it about someone valuing his honor, or like both lawyers have said earlier, that it's about due process, which all of you lawyers, ascribe to?
No, Kojo Brace, yes, we ascribe to due process, but I'm presenting arguments now, and all the arguments can be taken on board. Because you see, you're looking at who Ofori-Atta is. Public officer. He held the public purse, and then he's alleged to have done certain wrong things. Calm down and be held accountable. It's a constitutional requirement. So when I heard Frank Davis talking about due process, I cringed. I really cringed. I was like, really? You see, the things we say today, will we be able to repeat them tomorrow? Ofori-Atta, for crying out loud, was given public office, and he's done certain things that are alleged to be what? Criminal. He's needed to come and account. Accountability is in the Constitution. Even the duties of a citizen, Article 41. One of them is that you have to protect public property. So now, in his stewardship, we've lost certain things. We say calm down and account, and Frank Davis is talking about due process. Due process is also in the same constitution that says that citizens should help protect public property. It's the same constitution that talks about due process that also says that there are responsibilities. You have a right to due process, but you also have a responsibility. And Article 19, right? Ofori-Atta must come. He has a duty to attend the trial. And if Frank Davis is forgotten, prior to this, Ofori-Atta had been contacted and he said he wanted to cooperate with the OSP through virtual, like we like to say in Ghana, Zoom. All right. So it's not as if Ofori-Atta is not aware
But
that he's needed in Ghana.
was that proposal taken?
Yes, so no, it wasn't taken, and that's where we are asking Kisi Ejabin himself to also resign, because Kisi Ejabin brought all of this onto us as a nation. Now we are having to pay lawyers top dollar to face John Ashcroft. You know, John Ashcroft is former Attorney General of the U.S. He's top dollar, top notch, right? So we are carrying all these bills, trying to do extradition, etc., because Kisi Ejabin couldn't blow the whistle. He couldn't shout, Juloe, Juloe, Evio, Barao, Barao.
But Martin, isn't this what the lawyers of Kenneth have been referring to? That we seem to pronounce the man, a criminal when the case has not been heard by a competent court of jurisdiction.
No, it's a farce. They are pretending. Kojo Brace, today, when you walk to Makola, or even you don't go to Makola, your office is near Malata Market. When we want to catch a thief, we have to say thief, Julo, Julo. It's a way to ask for help, okay? A cry for relief, that let's catch the person. We all know that after we've caught the person, we take the person to court. So I'm saying that this simple thing, in the Ghanaian society, there is a way to cry for help where you cannot catch a suspect yourself. Kojo, let's make this point. In our society, and nobody can take it from us, when you want to catch a suspect or accused person, you say thief. There is no court that can say that the person thief at that time is wrong. It's a summons for relief. That's our language. Every society you go, there is a language they speak. So when we say thief, we mean catch him for us. That's the meaning. It means apprehending. So if Kisi Ejabin had done that, the media, because Kisi Ejabin in the interviews said that they saw him leave. And Kisi couldn't shout, Julo, he and his men. They couldn't shout, Julo. They couldn't shout, Ewi, for Ghanaian, for the media to blow the way, to also amplify it for Ofori-Atta to be caught before he went to the airport. Because people would have gone to the airport.
He wasn't well. The reason he left. Why do you still want to arrest him when the man has sought the official permission to leave because of his ill health?
Yes, we'll come to Julius Debra on it. Julius Debra, the current chief of staff who was notified, and then the former chief of staff, Fremont Parry. Yes, they also have to answer for it. But even if you leave Julius Debra and then Fremont Parry aside for now, Kisi said that he wasn't written to. He said he attempted to arrest Ofori-Atta. So meaning that for Kisi, the permission given by Julius Debra and the permission given by former chief of staff, Fremont Parry, didn't matter to Kisi Ejabin. Kojo Brace, you can play the interview again. He said he wanted to arrest him and that he went to NIB, didn't get help. He went to immigration, didn't get help. He went to national security, didn't get help. I'm in receipt of 2 letters from NIB and national security where they said Kisi didn't come there for any help. Even if you put that argument aside, he also said in the KSM interview that they saw him leave, but they were powerless. So, Kojo Brace, I'm saying that saw him leave and they were powerless. It's a separate argument from the time he said he went to NIB, went to national security, etc. They are 2 separate arguments.
Okay, Martin.
If your man saw him, you said you knew the letter, you knew the date he was going to travel. So apart from NIB, national security, etc., he couldn't blow the whistle. He couldn't shout Julo. He couldn't hold a press conference. That's why Kisi Ejabin must leave that office immediately.
Martin Pebo, I'm grateful to you for joining. We still have Frank Davis with us. Frank, so, Martin's argument is that due process must not come before the man even agrees to make himself available.
You see, Kojo Brace, I'm really very disappointed. When this man, you called him to answer to a question you asked him, and he talks about my honor, and you were quiet. What honor?
No, I wasn't quiet. I wasn't quiet.
No. What? No, you see, when the likes of Martin Kwebu talk, you wonder whether they are lawyers. I'm sorry to say this, but when the likes of Martin Kwebu they talk, you wonder whether they are lawyers or carpenters, or masons or bricklayers. Look at what Martin Kwebu is saying. What does he understand by due process? What exactly does Martin Kwebu understand by due process? From what he's saying, he's talking like a street boy. That what Juloe, mole. Is that how a lawyer talks? So when the man has not been charged, what does Martin Kwebu expect him to do? When he was arrested by the office of the special prosecutor, he was screaming that he had not been given the opportunity to call his wife. This is the kind of person who is condemning Ken, Martin Kwebu. I'm sorry. You see, when people like him talk the way you are talking, talk the way they are talking, then lawyers are cut out for blame because he is not talking like a lawyer. I listened to Amanda Clinton. We are all talking about due process and the rule of law, not Martin Kwebu's gibberish. That's what? How can a lawyer talk this way? So Kifie Jabin should have gone to the airport to physically arrest Ofori-Atta. I'm sorry, Martin Kwebu. You without, I don't want to use language that you normally use on your colleague lawyers, but I have more honor and integrity, Martin Kwebu, than you have. So next time when you come on radio and you are asked questions, stick to the script and answer the questions, and then talk in this loose manner. Okay.
I'm grateful to you, Frank Davis. We would have to end it here. This has been Top Story brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Enjoy a holy sleep, and also by Short Pension Trust into the future with you. My name is Samuel Brace. Newsnight will be up next right after these.
There are many reasons to connect, and it's all to put smiles on the faces of those you love.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That's my daughter, Angela. Caring for my parents, that's my duty. I also get to pay my utility bills easily with Telecel Cash. And to the suppliers at my shop,
hello, sir. Telecel Cash payment received right on time. Thank you.
I get to make them smile because I can pay to my suppliers' merchant numbers, even on other networks directly. My dear ones, we keep the connection stronger when our family, friends, and business relations are happy. Live on cash, enjoy convenience, and make those who matter smile when you send them money with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks, and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office,
Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop,
Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello everybody, welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, countdown to an emergency cabinet meeting over escalating fuel prices. We hear from the MPP minority in Parliament as they serve notice they will accept nothing short of removal or suspension of controversial 1 cedi fuel levy and a host of other taxes on the fuel price build-up.
It's important that the government takes a bold decision to review some of the levies and taxes on the petroleum build-up or the price build-up on the petroleum products. We initially called for the abolishment of the 1 Ghana cedi.
We have details as the energy minister seeks to manage expectations ahead of that high-stakes cabinet meeting.
That we want to ensure that the products are available. We want to ensure that we take steps to cushion you when it comes to prices. But finally, we want to ensure that even as we do that, we do not hurt the economy so that it comes back to bite you in the long term.
More ceasefire between Iran and the US triggers fall in crude prices, but industry players warn relief at the pumps may not come immediately.
The effect will be gradual, even if things start coming down from today to our next window will come in.
Also tonight's growing insurance industry support for Imani Africa's push for reversal of concentration of public sector insurance with SIC and an end to political interference. We hear from Insurance Brokers Association and the Chartered Insurance Institute.
We joined the petition in substance. What we want is to see a system for us, even as brokers. Number one, that there must be some public policy.
Okay.
Where procurement of insurance contracts by state institutions do not operate outside our public procurement system.
Also, the Finance Ministry directs state enterprises to do business with SIC as part of a bigger policy to favor the insurance entity. We hear from the MD of SIC Life.
In business,
Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Newell, fears drastic drop in interest rates could hurt some sectors of the economy.
In sports,
UEFA Champions League quarter-final action continues tonight with Barcelona taking on Atletico Madrid.
And a bit later, police and municipal chief executive of Amasaman contradict each other over arrests linked to the gunfire incident at the Kotoku Onion Market. While the MCE insists 3 suspects have been picked up, police say they are yet to trace those responsible.
So far, 3 were, but investigations are ongoing, which means that more people might be. Anybody that showed of threat leading to the violence will be held responsible.
Meanwhile, the goods of Ghanaian traders remain stranded in Nigeria, even as Nigerian traders in Ghana have been allowed to offload theirs.
We've got the latest of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma. Appiah.
Details shortly. Good evening. With barely 24 hours to an emergency cabinet meeting over the escalating fuel prices, pressure is already mounting on government as the minority in parliament declare they will accept nothing less than a removal or suspension of the controversial 1 cedi fuel levy. They are also demanding same treatment for a raft of other taxes embedded in the fuel price build-up. This demand comes as Cabinet meets for an emergency meeting on Thursday to confront the escalating fuel prices triggered by the Iran-Israel-US war.
The Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, has also signaled a possible increase in transport fares, while commercial operator VIP has already hiked fares by 25%. Ahead of that crucial cabinet meeting, Energy Minister John Jinapor is attempting to temper public expectations, outlining key considerations government is weighing before taking any decision.
We should not take short-term economic decisions that will hurt you, the ordinary Ghanaian, in the long term. That is not prudent economic management. Whatever support we can give you, let's do it as a government. Whatever cushion we can give Ghanaians in terms of petroleum pricing, let's do that. But let's be mindful that when we are taking these decisions, we do not end up hurting you in the future. And sometimes the cost that you incur from these political short-term decisions can be very, very significant. And so I leave you with the key three things that I talked about, that we want to ensure that the products are available. We want to ensure that we take steps to cushion you when it comes to prices. But finally, we want to ensure that even as we do that, we do not hurt the economy so that it comes back to bite you in the long term. That, for me, is prudent economic management. And I'm sure that with all of you, captains of industry, we've received some proposals from Seaboard, we've received some proposals from COMAC, we've received proposals from NPA. We are working with the finance minister, and I'm sure that we'll come out with policies and programs to the Ghanaian, but also ensure that we sustain the gains we've made when it comes to the economy.
But the minority is having none of what the energy minister is saying, because the deputy ranking member on the energy committee, Collins Aduma-Kumensa, is insisting government must act decisively, warning that Ghanaians cannot be made to absorb the full shock of global price hikes alone.
I listened to the minister, my very good friend, Mr. Jinapor, who indicated that when you take off some of the taxes, what it means is that government revenue is going to be short, or it's going to be fall, or to come down, which will lead to some effect on other aspects of the economy. But my brother, these were the same solutions that Mr. Jinapor preferred when we were in government. In fact, he gave two main solutions when prices of fuel went up. He said government should consider reviewing some of the taxes and levies on petroleum products, and that government should also use the rainfall from the extra revenue that will accrue to the states on the basis that we also are an exporter of crude oil, and so we are going to make some rainfall. Don't forget the government estimated $76.2 per barrel. Now we are hovering over $100 per barrel. He indicated to us some few years ago that the solution to the problem is for government to take off some of the levies and also use the rainfall to cushion the Ghanaian people. So I'm surprised that the rhetoric has changed suddenly whilst he's in government, and now saying that when some of the levies are taken off, it will have a rippling effect on the economy. I don't know, when he was advocating for taxes to be taken off during our time, whether that was not going to have any effect on the economy. So I'm questioning the consistency of the logic. The point is that at this particular point in time, what government controls, government must have a way of tweaking what it controls to the benefit of the consumer, at least in the medium term, for us to get some respite. If things after the 2 weeks ceasefire, things turn out very well, I'm sure some of the ones that have been suspended can be reinstated.
He maintains that the 1 cedi fuel levy must either be scrapped or suspended, alongside other taxes and margins to provide immediate relief.
I expected the cabinet meeting should have been held long time ago. The president gave an indication about a week ago that he intends to have a review of some of the taxes and levies on the petroleum products in order to bring some respite to the Ghanaian people. Don't forget that about a month ago, when the war started, the president also gave an indication that he had instructed the finance minister and the energy minister to sit and jaw and come out with some workable solutions for him to consider. So I'm happy that, although it's late, I'm happy that the meeting is going to be held tomorrow. Our expectations are quite clear. Government has control over two main things. One is the exchange rate, which we all know that is relatively stable, and the taxes and levies. We have indicated that it's important that the government takes a bold decision to review some of the levies and taxes on the petroleum buildup or the price buildup on the petroleum products. We initially called for the abolishment of the 1 Ghana cedi. We feel that it's important at this particular point in time that the government listens to the minorities' concerns and then take off the 1 Ghana cedi. I'm also aware that there's a stabilization levy, which is also in there. Other countries have suspended some of their taxes and levies on their petroleum products for 3 months, 4 months, just to observe how the war is going to pan out. I think the minister or the government can even go further to suspend some of the taxes and levies. So my expectations are quite clear. It is the point that the minority has made over the years or over the period that government should cushion the Ghanaian consumer by suspending or better still taking off some of the taxes and levies.
Yeah.
And even as the debate rages, energy policy experts are urging caution. Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Benjamin Boakye, is warning that the levy plays a critical role in financing inefficiencies in the power sector, cautioning that its removal without a clear alternative could plunge the economy into an energy crisis.
Yeah, I mean, those are choices that the economic managers will have to look at. And like I indicated, that 1 cedi is aligned to debt payment. It's aligned to paying for gas that ordinarily is paid for by the power sector because the gas is priced into the electricity that we consume. But because ECG cannot collect enough money or cannot sell all the power that is given to them, or if you like, people steal the power and are not accounted for, the gas cannot be paid through the tariff. And therefore, Ministry of Finance has to pick that. And those levies are being used to pay for those inefficiencies in the power sector, right? So if you take that 1 cedi out now, then there has to be some fiscal base created somewhere else. Whether you suspend the road construction or you suspend building of schools or even salaries to be able to absorb the other commitments in other spaces. So those are choices that we have to make, whether we have to pile our debt at this point, keep paying for the debt, because certainly there will be some debt created for the same consumer to pay in other ways.
Meanwhile, there appears to be some good news on the global front. A ceasefire agreement between the US and Iran has triggered a sharp drop in crude oil prices, falling from $112 to $94 per barrel. The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, says Ghanaians should not expect immediate relief at the pumps, citing lag effects in the pricing window and existing stock levels.
Yeah, I think it's still premature for anybody to put any number to the game. What I can say is that, yes, this is what we've all been praying for the ceasefire, of course, especially for countries who don't even have access to food at all, right, in the eastern corridors of the continent. And then also to us who have been affected by fuel prices for the past 1 month. Once this ceasefire is going to take effect, we'll surely see flat prices coming down. Already seen Brent plummeting down as well, second by second, and this is what we want to know. This is what we want to see. But as far as the country is concerned, we know that we work with weekly averages. All right, the window average to price, and that's what I'm saying, that it's going to be very premature for anybody to put numbers right away. Looking at the fact that our selling window is still ongoing till the 15th of this month, and our selling window has already begun. You understand? So the effect will be gradual, even if things start coming down from today to our next window will come in.
We are joined now by presidential correspondent Maxwell Agbagba. Maxwell, we know that the president is in France. When is he expected back in the country, and what are the arrangements in place ahead of the critical cabinet meeting?
Gemma, the president is expected to return to Ghana today. That earlier in the day, he held bilateral talks with the French president, Emmanuel Macron. That bilateral talks ended some hours ago. Earlier in the day also, he also had talks with the president of the French Senate, that preceded the bilateral talks with the French President Emmanuel Macron, and President Mahama is expected in the country later today. Indeed, the emergency cabinet meeting, we are told by our sources, is scheduled for tomorrow. Our sources within the cabinet we've been speaking to earlier told us that the meeting will focus on mitigation measures to cushion Ghanaians against the rising cost of oil, largely driven by the Middle East conflict. Our source says that ministers from key sectors, including transport, agriculture, trade and industry, and then the energy ministries, are expected to, present proposals on how to address the potential economic impact of the conflict. These measures, the truth our source, will be discussed by after which decisions are likely to be taken and implemented. But we know about the ceasefire that has happened now. So the source we've been speaking to says that indications that we got earlier, things might possibly, change because of the ceasefire that has been, secured and that is in place now. That's the emergency meeting we are told will happen tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Maxwell Agwagba is our Presidential Affairs Correspondent.
Emmanuel Bedra is the Chairman of the Energy Committee in Parliament. Welcome to the program, Mr. Chairman. Do you support the minority's demand for the removal of the suspension of the 1 cedi fuel levy, or do you believe the levy is still necessary despite the pressure on consumers?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers. I believe that the government has been voted for to manage the economy, and I also believe that the cabinet of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama decide to have a cabinet meeting, retreat, and decide. And so let's allow them to have their cabinet meeting and decide as the way forward. As it was the executive that brought the 1 Ghana cedis to us, and I believe that the same executive will decide whether we should go or we should stay.
Definitely. While we wait for that, though, you are the Chairman of Parliament's Energy Committee, so for sure your opinion is very important. How can government balance consumer relief with financing the energy sector? What would you say?
Exactly. That is why when we before we pass the ESLA review levy, we all agree that this 1 cedi that will be added to a liter was meant basically for the energy, not for petroleum, for energy. We were to buy fuel to manage our petroleum sector. That is to manage our energy sector, to buy fuel from that 1 Ghana cedis per liter. And so that was what we agreed on. Now, if in the course of implementing this 1 cedi, and we realize that the petroleum itself has gone up, it is for government to decide as to the way forward, either to cushion Ghanaians or to take it up. So for me, I'm waiting for the government to come out. If the government says they are not going to remove it, then as a Ghanaian, I will have I'll decide as to whether it is prudent or not. I believe that they will tell us whether the removal or not removing it will have any justification, and they'll give us reasons why they remove or do not remove it. And then we'll listen to their justification and then know what to do.
We're all waiting for that particular upcoming meeting, but will Parliament push for the removal of taxes on some of the fuel products, as many are calling for?
Parliament cannot remove taxes. Parliament cannot decide. This comes as per the Constitution. The government that brings an addendum or bring a proposal for tax to be imposed or to be removed. So we will wait for the executive to bring their proposal to remove or to allow it to stay.
Emmanuel Bedra, thank you very much. He's the Chairman of the Energy Committee in Parliament.
Now, the Insurance Brokers Association and the Chartered Insurance Institute are tonight declaring support for the push to reverse a directive to concentrate public sector insurance with the SIC and end deep-seated political interference in the sector. A petition presented by Imani Africa has become a rallying point for insurance industry players who say the threat of victimization has kept many insurance firms from speaking out. Listen to the president of the Chartered Insurance Institute, Solomon Lati.
It is a problem. It is a very big problem. But the issue is, how are you able to bring it out? And who is ready, willing to talk about it? When this thing came out that myself and Steve were coming to sit and discuss this issue, people called us and said, oh, they are giving you away. Because everyone is afraid to talk about it.
The president of the Insurance Brokers Association, Stephen Kwateng-Yeboah, criticized the controversial directive by the State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, to concentrate public sector insurance business with SIC.
You know, we have to call a spade a spade. If indeed there was a letter like that from SIGA, that's not right. So if there was any letter written to indicate, he is saying, well, that wasn't the essence. They are encouraging them to take the business.
But it was directive,
but once if there's a directive, no matter how it is, I don't think that they need that. These are not, let me say, minnows in the industry. The main issue, the bigger picture is we do not want any kind of political hands. No, we don't want that maybe finance minister or SIGA. We want our government to be there for all of us. And we want people to have the opportunity.
Right, and those conversations happened on PM Express last night. The president of the Insurance Brokers Association, Stephen Kwateng-Yeboah, has also added his voice saying that they will join the Imani petition to fight for insurance sector reforms.
So what we are talking about is that we must have an even playing field. I should not be afraid to look back. And some of them, the way they even do it is, they will even notify the existing broker that your appointment has been terminated.
Wake up one morning, you go, then
you wake up one morning, you go, then they say the business is gone, it's been given to somebody else. You get it? So we want an environment where our government, I mean, in 2014, similar thing came, and thank God, the president.
So let's end on that note. What do you want now? There's a petition. First of all, are you willing to join the money petition?
Oh yes, it's one of the reasons why we are here. You know, so we joined the petition in substance. The substance, and for us, it's not just this SIC letter. That's one of the things. His Excellency the President, 2014, when a similar thing came, you know, the industry met him and he said no, he doesn't believe that there should be any kind of system that is meant to favor anyone. The intention may have been good, but the president asked that directive be withdrawn and encourage that, you know, the state institutions do business with everyone, including, you know, SIs and the rest. What we want is to see a system for us, even as brokers, number one, that there must be some public policy where procurement of insurance contracts by state institutions do not operate outside our public procurement system.
So in other words, subjected to the same public procurement system. Which care you cite in your
everyone must have the opportunity. Because like I said, if you give everyone the opportunity, they have the capacity to go and compete and win. And when they win, you spoke about accumulation of risk. When they win, through co-insurances and other ones, they can share. The same way, broking contracts should be subjected to public procurement, you know, system. If we can get these kind of policies put in place, there will be changes.
Also speaking on PM Express last night, Solomon Berima, the managing director of SIC Life, which has been the beneficiary of the SIGA directive, admitted to leveraging the SIGA intervention to court business from SOEs. He claims he had the backing of the finance ministry.
When the board of SIC Life and SIC FSL was being inaugurated, the Deputy Minister of Finance noted or directed that the state entities should do business with SIC Life Insurance. So that was during the inauguration of our boss.
Which minister are you talking about? Is it the finance minister himself?
The Deputy Minister of Finance.
Okay.
The Deputy Minister of Finance.
Is there a written directive actualizing this public pronouncement?
There is no written directive from the Ministry of Finance.
Well, they reveal the problem of political interference is alarmingly deep-seated and has led to the collapse of some private insurance firms.
We've seen that our nation is so polarized that hitherto, we didn't used to have this level of polarization, but it's crippled into the insurance industry too.
Okay.
Now you need to have either a blue hat or a green hat to be able to do insurance business in Ghana. And as I tell you, we are even talking about this directive from SIGA to the insurance industry. When you come to the broker sector, it's worse.
I see.
It's absolutely terrible.
What's happening there?
And sometimes we have not seen a letter yet, but there are instances where you hear there's this directive from, this quarters or from that quarters that business should go to this broker, should go to that broker. And we've had instances where 3 days to renewal, existing brokers' contracts are terminated and the letter is given to another broker to just go and pay the premium and take when the previous broker has actually worked and had almost closed the business, and what is left is for the state institution to pay. Why will a state institution probably cancel the contract of a broker and decide to go direct and deal with some selected insurance companies?
Okay.
So if there's no motivation probably to have a kickback, which we know is happening, then, I see no reason why you want to cancel the contract of a broker.
So the kickback problem is there too?
The problem is the kickback. So when we see infiltration of politicians in the sector, there's only one thing. How do we get kickback? Other than that, sometimes you don't see what's the interest? Why is the push?
The problem is there. It is deep-seated. I have no idea, to be honest with you, I have no idea how to get politicians off our back.
To get them out.
I have no idea. But the only idea I have is that insurers must practice insurance in a professional manner. Allow the institutions to work. For example, Imani has some issues they are complaining about. If at renewal of your license, IBAC picks an issue against its own member and says, because of ABC, you cannot have we will not support the renewal of your license. Then it reduces and it goes to the NIC, and the NIC says, okay, your IBAC says they won't do it.
But this is self-regulation.
Yes.
Let's go to the phone line and speak to the president of Imani Africa, Franklin Kojo, on this. Franklin, so it's been some few days since you petitioned the president over this matter. Have you heard anything from the presidency yet?
Good evening. Thank you so much. Apart from the acknowledgement, not yet. But I assume they are probably talking to a number of people in the industry, and that will be in order. I will pray that they talk to everybody who matters in the industry, beyond just the industries association. I heard there's an industry insurance association. They never really have said anything in all of this. I'm surprised. I thought they would be more interested in this matter.
But you are getting support from the Insurance Brokers Association and the Chartered Insurance
That's
Institute.
the point I'm making. So these two guys who came to the studio, very, very patriotic young men who understand how the business world works. If there's any insurance-related industry that is not speaking, then that's a travesty. And I suspect that if they have really coffers to speak to anybody else, they should make sure that everybody is listening to the industry. We cannot continue having this cartel-like type of thinking for industry. It is too much. And I've had in these past few days, I've heard a number of things. What surprises me is that people think that this whole thing about political capture just started under NPP. In fact, in the insurance industry, started under the NDC. NDC1. When somebody was finance minister at the time. And I think there were accusations of capturing the entire insurance industry, right? And that's what forced the president to, first of all, actually issue that letter. And then later renege on this whole letter. Because I realized that, no, it's the wrong thing to do.
Then because of the political football, whatever I call cycle, the next administration comes, they don't even put anything on paper. They just find a way of getting business or another industry player. Now the same actors are back in power, and they are still doing their things. Look, people should go beyond what is happening. It's actually a battle for what I call rent seeking, and this is a very nefarious activity that happens in most of state-owned institutions, adding premiums and then paying half of it to SIC. Because they don't even pay the premiums. Sometimes SIC starts business on the negative liquidity notes. They don't even have the money. They may be having all these profits, but in actual fact, if you go find out how they started the year, they basically don't have the money because it's all not there. How do you want to run insurance like that? You want state institutions that are typically always making losses to be actually insuring with just a state-owned entity, and they don't even respect the state-owned entity, right? And by the way, I think the argument has been made, the point has been made time without number. SIC is not a fully state-owned enterprise. Mm-hmm. We should stop making that mistake. It's just about a third owned by the state. It's a diluted shareholder structure. It's private institutions, private shareholders, as well as the state.
Mr. Kojo, Kenneth here. One of the disclosures from last night's PM Express is that the problem you have taken on is so huge, but yet underreported because industry players have been crippled by fear. I want you to listen to the president of the Chartered Insurance Institute, and then we continue the conversation.
It is a problem. It is a very big problem. But the issue is, how are you able to bring it out? And who is ready, willing to talk about it? When this thing came out that myself and Steve were coming to sit and discuss this issue, people called us and said, oh, they are giving you away. Because everyone is afraid to talk about it.
Mr. Kojo, I want to pick your reaction on that, and I wonder whether, considering how deep-seated this is and how powerful the forces are, you have any realistic expectations of the issue being addressed?
I would not be surprised if nothing comes out of it, but most, probably, what's the word I should use? Excuse me. It is most likely something will come out of it. Let me not be too, should I call it pessimistic? You know, I've heard all of this before. I recall when we were fighting Kelmy, was that the queen of Kelmy, Ursula. We got people who privately, telecom engineers, who said, Charlie, this thing is bad, this is wrong, they are robbing the state. We'll come and testify. Don't worry. When we were going to court, they all disappeared. Because they said, Charlie, we are scared, though. They either sack us or lose our jobs. It is real. It is real. And you see, it is sad that some people just don't create anything. They just go and just voraciously take from others. And this crippling fear is what is bringing this country down. There are so many people have come to us, oh, Charlie, you are speaking for us, so we are grateful. But we can't come out and talk. Look, you've got to be bold, because if your livelihood is at stake. If you lose your business, there's a chain reaction. Others, mouths that you have to feed, would have to struggle. So this is not just people see these things as some politics. People say, oh, some people did it in the past, so they are resetting. Resetting what?
Finally, Mr. Kojo, give me your quick thoughts on the revelation by the SIC Life MD that the Finance Ministry also issued a directive for SOEs to concentrate their insurance business with SIC. If that is true, do you see a policy contradiction there, considering how committed the Finance Ministry has been to competitive tendering and value for money, to the extent that we even have a value for money office?
Well, as I heard, that he said that was said verbally to him. So it's between him and whoever told him. But in AK, I don't think the gentleman will come and lie on national TV. Look, however you look at it, however you dissect that, whether it's a directive from SIGA, encouragement from Finance Ministry, these things all fly in the face of value for money, public financial management, all the things we are trying to project as though we are a common sense republic. It is not. It's wrong. And I think we should just speak up. You didn't reset to come and do worse than their predecessor. What is this?
Thank you very much, President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kojo.
It's now time for business, and George Riafe is here with the latest. George?
Well, coming up in business, Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Iwa, fears drastic drop in interest rates could hurt some sectors of the economy and put some pressure on the city. And President John Mahama hints of possible reduction in the VAT rate if collections and compliance improves significantly. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Pow, make we step pow small. Bonya Muda said the carnival for town to start now.
Yeah, Mr. Desi, see my fiber, they fire off. Download, record, do streaming, they go on. Gaming, suit no buffering.
Okay.
It's Bonya way, they more fiber.
Oh, wow, so you really no go come
Ah, MTN unlimited fiber. Internet day here, make a promote.
This Easter, put your home on MTN Unlimited Fiber Internet and make the fun day right where you are. Fast speed, pure fiber, truly unlimited. Visit my MTN app or dial *5057# to check fiber availability or to subscribe.
MTN. Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on, keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became #1. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
Shout and sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start.
Sasso, si come tonton prekon. Sasso, si come tonton prekon.
Edwana drama in your busheshe. Yeah, how can see our malaria? Minya me corner, me sasso spray. Every mosquito study run away.
Come on, tonton prekon. Sasso, mi se come tonton prekon. Come on, tonton prekon.
Sasso, come tonton prekon. Nani sham ne die, demo strong kon.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Let's now settle for the details. Now, Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Iwa, is worried that the drastic reduction in interest rates could hit some sectors of the economy and bring some pressure on the Ghana city. The Ghana reference rate has dropped from almost 30% last year to 10% for the month of April this year. This is even lower than the current policy rate. But Mr. Iwa is worried about the impact of this development on investors.
You see, we are in a market economy, and you need, much as you need affordable borrowing, you also want investments. And the CD is our currency, and that is what we trade in. That is what we use for our daily transactions and contracting. So we don't want a situation where the yield on the CD is significantly suppressed in the manner that CD assets become unattractive, and investors who will be chasing yield will then begin looking at other options. That is why we welcome the the 7-year bond that has just been issued, even another layer of option investment avenue for investors that are interested in high-yielding instruments. So the point I'm making is there must be a very good balance between, the cost of borrowing and also the level of attraction on the investments that we want to attract in order to propel the economy in the growth trajectory that we are all looking for. You don't want a situation where private capital becomes difficult to mobilize because perhaps investors are looking at the potential returns and asking themselves, given all the situational risk around the country, do I want to go into an environment where my net yield is maybe in the region of 2% or 2.5%, and when maybe I can get 1% in a more controlled environment where there's a level of more greater certainty that yield will be realized.
John Ewa is the chief executive of the Ghana Association of Banks. Now, President John Mahama has revealed that the government could move and reduce the current VAT rate further if collections and compliance improve significantly. Government in the 2026 budget moved to reduce the effective VAT rate to 20%. But speaking at the program in the business, President John Mahama noted that the rate could go down further.
Now we're going to do some reforms in the VAT area. And already we've said that businesses that are below a threshold of 700,000 are excluded from the VAT taxation. We're also going to improve the efficiency of collection of the VAT. And let me say that if we improve efficiency of tax collection, the incidence of tax on individual companies will go down. If we're collecting VAT more efficiently, we can decide to reduce the effective VAT rate so that it makes things cheaper. It makes our industrialists able to invest more.
President John Mahama. The services sector is still standing out as a major trailblazer for the economy in terms of contribution to growth. Now, that's the opinion one may form after going through the monthly GDP estimate released by the Ghana Statistical Service. There is more in the following report.
The Ghana Statistical Service data covering economic activities in January this year showed that sectors like agriculture, industry all slowed compared to the same period for January 2025. However, that of the services sector expanded significantly to reach 9.6% growth. The expansion for the services sector was primarily driven by growth observed in education and communication subsectors. In terms of contribution, the services sector had more than 50% of the 7.5% posted in January this year. A careful look at the numbers showed that overall growth has slowed compared to January 2025. We are not sure what might have contributed to this, but some argue that is it a sign that Ghana's economy might be slowing in terms of overall growth?
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, Ghanaian SMEs are set to gain increased access to international funding as the European or Euro-Nordic Funding Alliance moves to connect investment-ready businesses to global capital. Founder and Secretary General of the Alliance, Ofori Atta, has emphasized the organization's readiness to link bankable Ghanaian businesses with international investors.
So what we're looking for in Ghana is to find those incredible businesses, SMEs for example, or entities and larger scale businesses that have bankable projects or really good projects that we can help to make bankable in order to attract investment for them. At the same time, we can really help companies to grow. For example, we have the right connections and right instruments with the banks or business soft landing relationships across Europe. So if any business wants to open into Europe or Gulf or any region that we exist, we can really help them.
Founder and Secretary General of the Euro-Nordic Funding Alliance, Ofori Atta. Now, Cash Flip has entered into Ghana's gaming market with instant payout and regulatory approval. At this soft launch, PR advisor Pedro Chide highlighted Cash Flip's 100% Ghanaian origin and seamless user experience.
This is a 100% Ghanaian game of chance. We were approved by the Gaming Commission. We passed all the compliances, everything. And this game is fully secure for anyone who wants to play it. The Gaming Commission demands a lot of regulation. They check the algorithm, the structure of the game, and they will not allow cash flip to be launched if all the compliance was completely okay. For anyone who are listening cash flip for the first time, you need to understand that as soon as you enter in the website and you put your mobile number, you will see that your name pops up. That makes you feel trust on the game. And on top of it, after you play, if you want to cash out, you cash out immediately.
Pedro said is a PR advisor of Cash Flip. And that's all for business on Newsnight. And if you had invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange, returns is still more than 70% from the beginning of this year to now. So
I'm seeing some decreases in the percentages. No, because the last time you told me about 100%.
No, it hasn't reached 100. It hasn't reached 100.
Oh, okay, then I misheard you probably.
Yeah. So still a good avenue to invest. If you look at that one compared to other investment instrument, it's still one of the highest you can see on the market now.
Thank you very much, Joy, for bringing us business. Daniel Cranton is here with the latest in sports. Daniel?
Yeah, and Ghana will face Senegal, South Africa, and Algeria in Group D of the CAF Under-17 AFCON 2026. The draw was held earlier today in Cairo for the tournament, which will be hosted in Morocco from May 13 to June 3. Ghana was placed in pot 4 for the draw, having failed to qualify for the competition for the 9th consecutive year. The Black Starlets secured qualification through a second-place finish at the 2025 WAFU Zone B Championship. Elsewhere, the UEFA Champions League quarter-final first leg continues later today. Our featured commentary game is at 7 p.m. on Hits FM between FC Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. Happening simultaneously also be PSG taking on Liverpool in the other quarter-final. Bringing it into sports. Back to you guys.
That match should be an interesting one because not long ago we saw Barca beat them 2-1. What are your expectations? You think Barca can beat them again?
Yeah, it's been a very tricky fixture. This will be the 4th time they are facing this season. Remember, they faced in the Copa del Rey semi-final over 2 legs, which Atletico Madrid won. So I think we'll see a lot of goals. I can't tell where to swing.
I'm tipping Barcelona for the win. Thank you very much for bringing us the latest in sport. You're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM and our numerous affiliates across the country.
Well, tonight the police has contradicted the account of the municipal chief executive for the Ga West Assembly over arrest linked to the gunfire incident at Ajin Kotoku Onion Market. There is armed police presence in the market following clashes between traders that left 7 people with varying degrees of injury. The violence, which involved the discharge of firearms on Monday, is believed to have been triggered by an attempt by some Nigerian traders to retail onions locally in breach of agreed market arrangements. The incident has reignited long-standing trade tensions between Ghana and Nigeria, with dozens of Ghanaian trucks carrying onions reportedly blocked from returning from Nigeria. The municipal chief executive, John Desmond Nisoa, had earlier indicated that 3 people had been arrested.
Calm has retained at the Ajin Kotoku Onion Market a day after a violent clash between Nigerian onion traders and Ghanaian onion traders. Now, according to the Ghanaian onion traders, the confrontation was triggered by what they believe is a growing deliberate attempt by Nigerians to infiltrate and dominate the onion business here at
It's been calm. So far, so good. The police intervened. I can say instructions have been given to settle the disputes and there is peace. So we pray that coming days should be calm and peaceful. So far, 3 were, but investigations are ongoing, which means that more people might be because accomplices and anybody that showed off threats or any altercation leading to the violence will be held responsible. So far, they are undergoing treatment and responding. So far, so good.
But barely 24 hours later, police say the individuals responsible for the gunfire are yet to be traced. In a statement, they say a manhunt is now underway for the perpetrators to be arrested. My colleague Michael Ashali joins me in studio with details of the statement. Michael, what are the details?
Well, so the police, right, contrary to what we have heard officially from the MC, says that the Regional Police Command launched a manhunt to identify and arrest persons involved in a disturbance and unlawful discharge of firearms at the Kotoku Onion Market within the Ajen Kotoku district of the Amasaman division. Preliminary information indicates that tension arose among 5 onion sellers association over disagreements regarding the distribution of onions supplied by foreign traders, which led to heightened unrest within the market. Now, this is where the clarity comes. It tells us that on 6th of April 2026, a clash broke out between some members of the associations, during which gunshots were heard from an unidentified location. Police officers responded promptly to the scene. However, the individuals responsible for the gunfire could not immediately be traced. On the same day, a team from the region deployed patrol teams to the area to maintain order, while efforts were underway to engage the leadership of the various associations to de-escalate the situation. Meanwhile, police patrols have been intensified in the area to prevent any further disturbances. It's almost a stark contradiction to that of what the MCR told us. 3 individuals had been arrested. The police tells us that at the time that they had sent their officers to the place, the individuals, again, quote, the individuals responsible for the gunfire could not immediately be traced. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Michael Ashali, with details of the statement by the police service. Mustafa Suleimana is the PRO for the Greater Accra Onion Sellers Association. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. On Tuesday, you mentioned that a truckload of goods destined for Ghana were locked up in Nigeria. Is that still the case?
Yep. Good evening, and good evening to your listeners. It's true. Now, we are still on it. The trucks from Nigeria have not been released yet, because, the peace started today. And it's today that the Nigerian trucks in Ghana were able to offload their goods. Today, the trucks from Nigeria that was broke, that they will not allow them to offload the goods, through the regional police commander and through some of our leaders, the regional police commander gave an order that we should offload the goods. The goods are offloaded today. So I think the next agenda is we have to talk how Ghanaian trucks in Nigeria will be released and they will come back home. But as of now, the Nigerians have bid for selling onion to all the Ghana groups, onion groups, including the Accra Onions. The Kusasi people were fighting. They have broke all the 5 groups. They said they were not giving anybody onions,
Thank you very much. Mustafa Suleimana is the PRO for the Greater Accra Onion Sellers Association.
Let's talk health this evening, because Ghana risks being placed on a restriction list for the supply of family planning commodities and related medical supplies after it emerged that $1.6 million worth of the commodities have been stuck at the Tema port for nearly 2 years. The United Nations Population Fund is now hinting it will reduce the supply to as low as 25%. This was disclosed at a media briefing by the CSO's platform on SDGs, advocacy coordinator at Mary Stopes, Henrietta Ofori-Atta, who spoke on behalf of the CSO, says there are now shortages of family planning essentials at facilities across the country.
When regional stores run out, they cannot supply district facilities. These facilities run out. When these facilities run out, the nurses who should be providing a contraceptive injection, an implant, or an oral pill simply does not have the commodity to give. The woman walks away empty-handed. Unintended pregnancies will rise. Ghana's Demographic and Health Survey 2022 shows that 23% of women still have an unmet need for family planning. Many of these depend on public sector facilities and their primary or only source of contraception. When public stocks run out, these are the women who have nowhere else to turn. Unintended pregnancies are the predictable and preventable consequences of contraceptive stock out. Unsafe abortions will follow. Research from the Ghana Maternal Health Survey shows that approximately 23% of pregnancies in Ghana result in abortion.
Well, they also say the situation is likely to cause maternal deaths and safe abortions and unintended pregnancies across the country.
The consequences what it means for the Ghanaian women. We must not allow this to remain an abstract administrative discussion. Behind every month delay, there is real consequences for real women across Ghana. Stockouts at health facilities. National and regional medical stores continue to decline at existing stock are used without being replenished. When regional stores run out, they cannot supply district facilities. These facilities run out. When these facilities run out, the nurses who should be providing a contraceptive injection, an implant, or an oral pill simply does not have the commodity to give. The woman walks away empty-handed. Unintended pregnancies will rise. Ghana's Demographic and Health Survey 2022 shows that 23% of women still have an unmet need for family planning.
1/3 of tourist sites in Accra could be lost to coastal erosion and rise in sea levels, with Osu Castle among the most vulnerable. The sea is steadily eating away at the castle, a factor that influenced the relocation of the presidency to the Jubilee House 13 years ago. Today, the erosion continues, and experts warn the historic monument could collapse within the next few decades. Emmanuel Juvenu reports in Joy News' series, When the Sea Comes Home.
The sea is closing in on one of Ghana's most important historical landmarks, the Christian Castle, also known as the Osu Castle. Just a few meters away from the Osu Castle, 50-year-old Moses Abeka Okai sits by the shore mending his fishing net. He has lived by the sea for decades and remembers when the shoreline was far from the castle.
When I was a child, the sea was far away from the Osu Castle, but now the sea has come closer to the castle. It is possible the sea can wash the castle away when we are no more.
At the base of the Osu Castle, the waves are no longer breaking offshore. They now strike directly against the foundation. At my visit in 2023, there was still a visible stretch of sandy beach between the sea and the castle. I could stand and walk in that space without difficulty. 3 years later, that buffer is almost gone.
Our study revealed that out of the total number of tourism facilities at risk in Accra, 1/3 cannot physically withstand the event of sea level rise hazard due to their proximity to the shoreline.
For centuries, the Christian Castle was the seat of government, from the colonial era through independence and into the Fourth Republic. But in 2013, the presidency moved to the Jubilee House. Coastal scientist Professor Kwesi Epieni-Addo says advancing coastal erosion played a key role in that decision.
I observed the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, the Independence Square, and the Christian Castle will experience erosion and are likely to be lost to the sea in the very near future, looking between from 50 years to 150 years. This study generated several discussions which have influenced, I believe, the relocation of the presidency to the Jubilee House.
Osu Castle still stands, but the sea is creeping closer, eating away the land it once overlooked. If nothing changes, the loss may not happen suddenly, but bit by bit, until there's nothing left to protect. Emmanuel Juvenu, Joy News, Osu.
That's it for Newsnight. But before we go, here are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Nana Ekuyamua Boatin from Ablekuma Central says, how difficult is it for this government to temporarily suspend certain taxes in the fuel price build-up just to cushion ordinary citizens? Kwabla Kotoka Dovlo from Keta says, I pray for Iran and the US spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically to stop fighting immediately and effectively now. And this one is from Prof. Intema. He says, we should remind Martin people that the rule of law is the order of the day, not Juloe, as he was saying. Kenneth Ofori-Atta will face the due process of the law at the right time if what he did was not right. Francis from Accra says to the MPP and its agents, they can demand even for Jesus Christ to be born again. They should tell their demands to the marine. Taxes that were in their control. Did they remove e-levy when petrol was 23 cedis per litre? And this one is from Isa Tanimu in Boko. He says it is refreshing to hear the fugitive of justice, who was referred to as 720 while in U.S. ICE custody, has regained his birth name Ken Ofori-Atta after his release from custody. And Kwame from Pukuasa says, so MPP had the guts shamelessly to be talking about fuel prices. I advised them to rather toe the line of their flag bearer by begging Ghanaians. Nana from Springtex Road says MPP must be aware that fuel taxes on the fuel may be removed, but definitely the 1 city energy levy is not going anywhere. And that's it for Newsnight. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma. Appiah.
Right after here, though, is Akofa, we're strong and sassy. What are we discussing this evening?
So I first off want to, get your thoughts on this. Have you ever been on I don't know. Have you ever been on a date?
Yeah.
Where your partner seems to be more invested in posting and videoing everything that's going on rather than be in the moment. Have you ever experienced something like that?
Not really.
Not really, right? But imagine if you're with someone and all they do is to post your life on the internet. Like it's like they're with you, but then they're distracted by everything else around you. How would you react? And that's what we're getting into today.
I think it's bad.
It's bad.
Exactly. Especially when you're on a date with someone and the person is only concentrated on their phone.
Yes.
And most of the time they will even post without you being included.
Yes. So we're getting into that.
That should be an interesting conversation.
Absolutely.